Tox the Terminator will be tackling vengeurr in our 4th game of the day as we're locked back in here at the Quake Pro League. Dan, you're excited to see Tox, I'd imagine. You know, an old school legend.
More excited to see vengeurr.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well,
let's... What about that new blood?
Yeah? Well, there's going to be a lot of blood spilt.
True.
And, it does depend on whose will be covering the battlefield the most. And then we'll weigh that up and we'll look at it through litres. And that will decide who's won.
I would love that to be a judging mechanic in the game.
What, of how much blood is spilt?
Yeah, I would have been good at the game if that was the case.
Yeah. Lots of damage. It's all about the damage, not about the frags.
Exactly, not about the items or anything else. It's just about playing your heart out.
Wow. How many litres can you bench press?
I don't think it works like that.
I think it does.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Well, we'll look into it after this. But for now, let's take a deeper look at Tox. Toxic the Terminator, of course, the Swedish superstar. He could bench quite a few litres, I reckon, at least like 35.
Yeah, he used to be quite a big boy who went to the gym. Instead, he's just quite a big boy who smashes people on Quake. When he's on form, obviously needs no introduction. He's the Terminator for a reason, just unparalleled in mechanical skill. Just seems to be lacking some cutting edge, which is not something you would often attribute to Tox. But when he's on form, how do you stop this man? Look at some of the shots. It's just ridiculous, and he's one of the best players for that very reason.
Been around for a very, very long time as well. Competed at essentially every event back in the day. Was always there. Recently has the Tox Pics Twitter account, I believe, where he uploads all of his old pictures from all the old lands. So
I didn't know that. That's really good.
Yeah,
I like that. I really like that.
So if you're interested in seeing some blasts from the past from Quake, definitely find that Twitter account. Citation needed on the name.
I mean, like there was an event in Japan where there's this photographer who was he just took photographs of every Street Fighter event for like the last 20 years, and he just ran an exhibition where he put all of them up
on
display for a couple of weeks. I would love if anyone has done that in Quake to send them all in, and we'll find a venue and we'll just have the
art of Quake.
Yeah, like we'll get John to put it at QuakeCon or something.
It'll be beautiful.
It'll be amazing.
Well, for now, let's have a look at another artist who paints very pretty pictures with blood. Of course, I'm talking about vengeurr, the maestro madman who steps up and really does some damage. He's got a bopping tune to slay with, and he steps up incredibly well on the server. So steps up twice there, because I was thinking of stepping to the top, bop to the top.
For me, vengeurr is more of a modern, refined Tox.
Wow.
Kind of a cross between Tox and Cypher. Like his aim is ridiculous, his overall skill set is amazing. He has a real great knack of doing damage from unreturned damage, again very Cypher-esque. He's just very modern in his playstyle because he didn't come from a background in Quake Live or previous Quakes really. He's just a natural born Quake Champions jeweler. So
yes.
He's definitely built his skill set far more around the competencies of what this mode has to offer.
I think that's a lot more of what we see with players like vengeurr, with Reizu, with Zron, in the sense where it feels like there's not as much of a mental block of things from the past holding them down, so they purely just focus on the newer aspects of the game that can give them a potential edge, obviously, with revitalizing their champion pool and stuff like that, and we can actually see how that's going to affect things. We do have the veto coming through. Now, they were at the forefront of obviously bringing a couple of different champions into the meta, trying some different things. For now, though, it actually seems like it's fairly standard in what we've got from these two.
Yeah, Doom is, I think, vengeurr's favourite champion, this time picking it on Corrupted Keep, but we've seen it used to great effect on that map. Galena, it can be temperamental, I find, on Corrupted Keep, because it's difficult to get the build-up in terms of the totems, but it depends how you use them. If you're using them purely for in-combat regen, it's a very powerful mechanic. Blood Covenant is, I think, Tox's home ground now. He just loves that map. Picking Anarchy now, would usually see a Slash, but obviously being banned out, so instead compromising with the Anarchy because he loves to use the speed around the map, particularly up and around, capitalizing on that mid to high ground. And the Nyx is obviously probably the most meta and stable champion on that map, and so it's a great counter to the speed of the Anarchy. But if you can keep the pressure on the Nyx, Anarchy is one of the champions you want to do it with. And finally, we have Awoken, which is vengeurr's kind of favourite map overall. He's definitely trying to expand his map pool since Katowice, and Ranger, we've already seen today, can be very creative on that map, and I think it's definitely an underrated champion with the rocket jump and orb on that map in the close quarters. Deadly indeed.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more mobility to play with, and obviously versus the Sorlag, that will be a nice little addition into your tool belt.
Yeah, Tox, when Tox is on form, he plays fast, and
Yeah.
Sorlag's another champion you can do that with.
Yeah, he does enjoy the high-flying, high-speed type of approach to the game. That's normally when he plays at his best. The worrying factor is sometimes it feels like that really does come back to bite him. He'll play far too overly aggressive, and there is... I don't know, it's almost as if there's no slider to it. It's not like we can try and go for a little bit of the middle ground. It's just always full frontal assault or just always too slow when he comes into the game.
And it just feels like he doesn't know where to stand a lot of times, purely theoretical and physical. Like, it just seems a little bit lost when he's not on his game. He's definitely very similar to Sparty, very momentum-based. If he gets off to a good start, he gets in your face, he gets some control, he hits his shots. Then you see him come out. But there's sometimes maps where you see Tox ending the map with like 15% rail and 20% lightning, and it's like, what happened? Yeah. So he needs to be able to find a more stable middle ground, just more tactical. And I think if he goes on the former, to be aggressive, I think he can play into vengeurr's hands a little bit, because vengeurr does like that when people are coming at him. His rockets are obviously pretty much unparalleled, so he knows how to exploit that.
Oh, absolutely. They both need a good start, really. Both of them definitely play off the back of momentum. Obviously, Tox more so in the sense where if he can come in, get a couple of frags on the board in the first couple of minutes, then he will just excel and propel himself with that. However, the only downside to that is I don't know if Keep is going to play into his hands in that sense. I feel like Keep is the one map that actually might be able to counter him a little bit, favour more vengeurr. Obviously, it's a map that he's quite well versatile on. He's very well drilled.
It's also a bit difficult to get that momentum up with a Galena.
Yeah.
Galena is naturally a slower pace champion to play around the totems a bit more. Obviously, you can do it whatever you want, but it definitely favours that. Whereas Doom, you can use that double jump and the speed around the map.
All over the shop.
You can really bully Tox. So I think I've seen some great things from Tox on Blood Covenant, but I haven't seen great things from Tox on Keep. So I think you're right in that aspect.
Yeah, I think it's more the map that holds him back here. So let's see if that is going to be the defining factor, or if he will be able to defy expectations. Tox on the Galena faces vengeurr on Doom as we step back into Keep. Rockets coming out first. Couple of wildfire shots. Nice 50 damage being found, though, as vengeurr will be able to get a bit of a boo pop back onto Tox early on.
Oh, great tri-bolt, though.
That shredded him.
I was just about to say, Tox finding it very difficult to hit vengeurr as he's double jumping around the map, but one way to do it is just smack him in the face with some tri-bolts.
Luckily avoids the totem, doesn't take the additional damage.
But vengeurr's done a good job of making sure he keeps enough pressure in around the mid-ground to prohibit Tox from picking up that lightning gun, which he does sneak his way onto, but he's taking a lot of damage to get it. And vengeurr trying to pin him in that corner as there's nothing up for either one of them for the next 10 seconds. vengeurr thinking about the rocket, but instead realizing he might not have enough just to finish Tox. Decides against it.
Tox, he's got a totem available, but he hasn't decided to use it just yet. For vengeurr, instead, he's just playing over towards the Mega and playing it safe right now as he listens out for the audio cues, looks to set up a trap, does see a foot, and will try and attempt to take the fight. Fires off the rocket, but it's not going to do anything just yet. Here comes the push from Tox. They instead opt to now have a bit of a fight between each other. HMG rattling through the air, but none of the shots really connecting. Ugh, gets a bit of a pepper spray off, but the misses are coming out a lot more than the hits.
Tox has done a great job so far of staying alive and doing an immense amount of damage, just catching vengeurr a little bit off guard as he just picks up the Mega health. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. vengeurr's also now out of rockets, so he needs to try and manipulate his way across to that side of the map. I don't know if Tox heard that click. Doesn't matter. Perfect range game from Tox. Great patience.
All of these bullets landing right between the eyes. Not ideal at all. Tox, he has got the opening frag though. Can he maintain this and build off the back of it as vengeurr starts to skedaddle, repositioning? As he heads over towards the heavy. Big rocket. It's going to be a nice way to try and slow things down.
Yeah, really like what I'm seeing. The pick of Galena has vengeurr Tox into this more slower paced game, which is currently favouring him as his position and range game has been superior to vengeurr so far. And the use of the heavy machine gun is the one thing that's really been separating them so far, as that's what Tox has been getting in position to use that earlier than vengeurr.
Yeah, the blessing in disguise of just the adaptation here from Tox, being forced into playing a little bit slower. Rather than just running in and throwing away the potential lead, he's getting a lot of damage off as well from a distance. And he's burning a fair bit of time off the clock here, although struggling for ammunition now, down to just 2 rockets left to work with, as he will go on a bit of a chase. The lightning gun will quickly patch things up, however.
That time, forfeiting position to try and do some damage is not quick enough. But as you rightly say, he is low on the ammo, so it needs to be a priority to try and work his way over to the outside of the map, which should be fairly straightforward, but delaying a little bit too much. Does have plenty of lightning gun to go, but vengeurr has good timing on this heavy armor. And it's this time vengeurr that does far more unreturned damage than Tox.
Tox, rocket in hand, opting to play it slow, get into a better position before he reveals himself, and had to conserve the rockets as well, so he couldn't run the risk of missing if he fired off a blind shot. Luckily, restocks the ammo. We're coming up to 5 minutes, and it is a 1-0 scoreline. vengeurr, he's low on stack as well, but luckily the mega, heavy rather, is going to spawn in and be grabbed. He gets booped by the rocket and goes absolutely flying, but more need to land. He's getting dinked down, but he's still alive.
He is still alive, and vengeurr did a huge amount of damage with the lightning gun from the low ground. Good use of the totem by Tox, prohibiting vengeurr from coming through that teleporter, but this time Tox is trapped and not able to do any damage. So vengeurr now going to be hunting off the spawn, able to clear up the totem as well. Don't think he heard Tox. If he did, he would have been dead. But nevertheless, has a good split on the item, so Tox is in a very precarious situation now. Doesn't really have a lot to work with. No stack, very few weapons.
Stopwatch. 5-minute warning.
He needs to return to the same way in which he played the first minute or so of the map, chipping vengeurr down with that heavy machine gun. Because now vengeurr has momentum, stack, and weaponry. And timing, which Tox is far too early. Perfect rockets from the Doomslayer, finishing off Galena.
That's so nice. A beautiful rocket to get him back in the game, and this is where vengeurr starts to come online as well. The follow-up damage already done. Tox nearly executed by the lightning gun that just lit him up.
And now it's vengeurr suffocating the map, but that rocket's going to nullify his movements ever so slightly, but Tox has nothing, literally nothing. vengeurr's got all 4 items on lockdown. So what Tox needs to do is try and get that heavy machine gun going again, try and hit some spam as vengeurr's picking up either the heavy or the mega, because he hasn't got anything. vengeurr's going to go cycle right back down to this light armor, probably damage himself again, or at least let Tox damage him as he pushes in. And yeah, Tox hasn't touched an item now for over 1.5 minutes.
He's being starved out. He just can't get anything going for himself right now, and this is going to leave him in quite a
what
sticky
vengeurr's
predicament.
doing, and I don't know if Tox has noticed it, is he's as great as it is to do this, you're on a loop, and your opponent can really capitalize on that loop of identifying what your circuit is, where you're going to be. It becomes predictable. So yes, Tox hasn't got anything, but he can, if he's now realized that this is vengeurr's loop, you can see him trying to cut him in between that loop. It was the good decision. He realized where he wanted to go, tried to cut him off. Obviously just slightly poor execution.
The thing is, he's played it right. The past 2 times he's attempted to try and take the fight. It's just not worked for him because vengeurr's landing all his shots and being able to execute so well at the minute. Finally, for once, he's low and Tox will take him down with a rocket.
Well, he did enough in the previous engagement, even though he died, to delay vengeurr, meaning he spawned near the heavy to get on it, still the heavy, and eventually kill vengeurr. So, great play by Tox.
Too long left in this one as well. Whoever's going to be taking the mantle and claiming the keep needs to step it up. If Tox wants to get back into the game, he needs 2 frags. He doesn't have a lot of time to work with.
But this
so
time,
low.
Tox is... he's late. He was late for the item.
Ooh.
He's late.
Nice.
If he dropped, he probably would have got the kill, but he's hesitated slightly too long because of the heavy shotgun, or super shotgun, should I say. It's always such a dangerous weapon. He's trapped again, just needs to do as much damage as he can. He's got out low, which is fine, but he's in a very difficult situation now. Even if he steals this heavy armor, he'd be lucky to get out alive.
Rocket's going to send him absolutely flying through the sky. Tox at least replenishes somewhat of his health and then gets the full upgrade as he'll be able to snatch away the Mega. But for vengeurr, it's just the scraps that he's going to be using. It won't matter though! It's the perfect rocket usage. Boops him, hits him again, and then finishes him in midair.
Absolutely crazy. This is why he's so scary, because even when he's got nothing to work with, he still pulls something out the bag. His rockets are just insane. And we've seen that vengeurr has really responded to the way in which Tox is playing in the first few minutes. And ever since then, Tox hasn't had the answers. He's made the right moves, but I think execution has been one of the big factors in this map so far. 1 minute to go with 4 frags is achievable.
Tox, it'll be so hard for him. 60 seconds, and he's been struggling to actually find himself entries into this game as well. So
vengeurr's going to obviously slow down the pace to snail's pace.
All he's got to do is just play smart. vengeurr should be able to win the opening map here and take the keep for himself. The overstack comes out from placing the third totem, but it doesn't really give any benefits to Tox. He can't use it to his advantage, and even if he does get the kill now, it's too little too late. There's only 30 seconds left. Instead, he will still fall. So vengeurr securing himself.
I think the two standout features for me, one was Tox's timing felt a little bit off. There were 2 or 3 situations where he was either late or missed an item. And rockets. Tox's rockets have never been the best, but vengeurr's are one of the best. And there was a couple of situations where Tox's execution wasn't clean enough. He was making all the right moves. His range game was really smart off the outset. There were a few situations where, as we said, vengeurr was suffocating the map, but Tox read that, cut off his channels.
Yeah.
But he wasn't able then to get a foothold on the map. vengeurr had a great strangle, and you can see there, damage was relatively similar across the board. Items, not so much.
No, yeah, not at all.
And 24 lights was pretty much such a big decider. 10 extra megas, 24 lights to, I think, 4 or 6 lights. That cycle took way too long for Tox to break.
Just not able to get any actual utility to get him back into the game. Completely starved out for the most part, and at that point he's just brittle. Every time he went into a fight he was so frail, it was easy for him to just be annihilated in a matter of seconds there by vengeurr, and that's pretty much how it went down. He was able to keep it at least somewhat close and bring it slightly back into his favour, but towards the end it is just the vengeurr show.
It was the vengeurr show, showing us why he is such a stable player. Felt that Tox had his number, really, for the first minute or two, and vengeurr then just regrouped, reset, didn't panic, and went back to basics. Got good timings, was always in the right positions, and challenged Tox more with his rocket launcher. So he pushed Tox into these situations where he didn't want to be. Tox wanted to play the range game, he wanted to play the hit scan game, but vengeurr forced him into these close quarter rocket fights where he had the advantage. You could see him playing the corners every single time. And if he was going to take these one-on-one, mano-a-mano lightning gun fights, he was always going to make sure he's the one with the snack advantage. So yeah, it was a nice clean way to play Corrupted Keep as we end on a corpse view.
What was left there? Just bones on the ground.
Yeah.
Not ideal. Not ideal. Of course, that is the first map done and dusted, going the way of vengeurr. So it is vengeurr's keep from this point forward. Now, though, obviously moving into the series, map 2.
Black Covenant. This is where we see Tox come into play. He loves to pick up the speed. Use of the rail is obviously one of his defining characteristics. Again, it's a big question mark of, is he going to hit the rails? More often than not, yes, but there are matches where he just doesn't, and then that's when we find him in these situations where he's overcommitting, going in, maybe missing a rail, and by that point he's close quarters, it's too late, he's dying. So this is where we can see a little bit of erratic Tox come out. He does play an exceptionally good Anarchy. I think his slash is more powerful, but that was banned out. And so it's going to be an interesting battle Wenger's going to play positional. I don't imagine to be overcommitting ever so much. He's not going to be afraid to try and get into a rail battle with Tox, so it'll be really interesting to see how he responds to that.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to call because obviously Tox, he can be very inconsistent in the sense of even throughout a series he can flip-flop between playing incredibly well and stagnating at a point. It's definitely a better map for it, and there is a chance. Obviously, the champion pick's going to work out a little bit better as well. Galena is a bit of a question mark because it just really doesn't fit his normal persona and the way he approaches the game. Physically reduces the way you need to play. You have to play a lot slower just to try and base off the totem. So maybe it's a flip that could benefit him, obviously going back to a champ that is a lot more within his normal cookbook.
I'm going to call you out this time. What's your prediction for this map?
I think this is just going to be vengeurr looking over it. Yeah, I think this is probably going to be like fairly high up there, like an 11-4 kind of game.
Oh, mate, you're even going for the scoreline.
Yeah.
11-4.
I think Wenger's going to come out swinging. Obviously, he's had his taste of it. He's had the first map to try and get the feelers out there. This is when Vengeurr starts to let loose a little bit.
Okay. You think style points with the next then?
Probably.
Okay.
What about yourself?
11-5.
Wow. That's like $4.99. $4.95.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Play my cards right.
Yeah. Madness. Well, we'll have to see if that is going to be the case once we get into this one. We're just waiting to get underway with our second map here between these two. It is unfortunate because obviously we know what level Tox can play at, but it seems so rare we get to see it now, especially online again. First week, obviously, got absolutely battered.
Yes. It does feel to be few and far between where we see those highlight moments. And for whatever reason that is, I think Tox needs a little bit of reflection on his own play. That previous map shows it feels patronising to say he still has it. That's not what I mean. Is that he definitely can reset to being a much more stable jeweler version of himself. That was an incredibly close game throughout, and I just want to see more of that level of dueling rather than the amazing highs and swinging to the amazing lows. So it's not as glorious, but it's more consistent is what we're looking at.
Yeah. Well, we step back in and we can continue on. With Tox, he's on the Anarchy. And he's going to be attempting to raise some hell. Lightning guns out with a rail. Follow-up to punish Vengeurr early on. Oh, nice bit of tracking. But unfortunately, he couldn't land the rail, or he would have really been punishing earlier.
He would be, and he has obviously positional and weaponry advantage. Both items up at the same time. Can Vengeurr bait out one or the other? Obviously, Tox is committed for the Mega, meaning Vengeurr is able to get on to the heavy. And Tox obviously stealing away those time vials just in case the Ghost Walk was used as well. Nice rails from Tox. Good start from him.
Yeah, that's very clean. A good bit of a punishing blow back onto Vengeurr to open up and initiate this series. Dancing on top of the pole there as Tox looks straight down, attempting to get the hurty-verty off. But Vengeurr, he's speedy and he's already back over towards heavy. Oh, he's back at Vengeurr again. He's quick.
And Tox realising that knowing the item is going to be up at the same time, Vengeurr can steal it if he needs to get the Ghost Walk to go away, but he doesn't. He hits an incredible amount of lightning gun. Barely gets hurt himself. That was unbelievable. And this is one of the problems with Anarchy in general, is because he's so weak and you're so fast, you sometimes overestimate your competencies, and the other side of the coin is sometimes you can become quite predictable with those air control champions because you need to use a very similar movement pathing to get around the map, so you can be exploited. And that's what we saw there, is the fact that just overestimating a little bit in terms of his ability. And Vengeurr's aim is nothing to be sniffed at.
Not indeed. Although Vengeurr struggling a little bit here, left on 2 HP. Tox, he must have realised how much damage was done to him. Doesn't want to run the risk of pushing in and dying. But Vengeurr, he's going to get away with a miracle here. Literally getting away with murder right now, Dan. How has he survived?
Yeah, I think Tox thought he was either used the Ghost Walk or had scurried away, but instead Vengeurr just burrowing his head in the sand and biding his time. Not afraid to play these low areas. Remember, he does still have the Ghost Walk. That is his get out of jail free card, and he has been able to regroup. As painful as it is to let go of the major items, it's not the end of the world against light champions to lose out on them, because one rail is pretty much going to even the stacks up. vengeurr forced to pop the Ghost Walk out now. Can he catch Tox in that choke point? He cannot.
vengeurr sprinting out of there, trying to get out of the way of all this commotion that is occurring around him. Snatches away the vials as well to restock. That Ghost Walk's going to be coming up a little bit quicker. The rockets, though, will slow down the speed from Tox, and the lightning gun
He's had a rocket.
looks to try and finish him. vengeurr's low and should surely fall. That's the Ghost Walk used. All Tox has to do is keep on top of him.
He does. vengeurr there debating whether he should risk going in for that shotgun to the face kill. He's still got no rockets, and this is painful because he could have got a really strong opening, but instead that does cost him his life, and Tox is able to use the speed to his advantage. Again, capturing on vengeurr. No Ghost Walk available. This is where we see Tox come into action.
Yeah, it's a beautiful rail and a quick kill chain together to take it to a 2-1 scoreline. This could be his third found, and it is Tox. He's ramping up as the engine is getting revved.
He is, but this time he's over-committed for the heavy, should I say. Lost complete timing on that Mega. These are these signs of just slight sloppiness that if Tox can eradicate, he becomes even more scary.
That was smooth. Nice control of the mouse there, drops his way down, finishes him off, knowing that he just needs to switch out to the LG in close range like that, be able to trace him. Stealing away the hourglasses as well, helps him get his injection back up, whilst vengeurr is just pepper spraying down all of the tri-bolt bullets he can physically muster up.
I was going to say, it's so risky, even though vengeurr has nothing to work with. You're such a light champion. Just taking one of the two tri-bolts to the face is going to pretty much kill you.
That'll do even more. Ooh! He actually nearly flipped that on its head as well. He got the counter rail off. Ooh, in the spawn. Oh, that's unfortunate.
So smooth from vengeurr. He's already brought two back.
Here's the hoverboard breezing by underneath him. Gives him an inkling of where exactly Tox is going to be.
Tox is very early for this Mega, but that rail's going to help out. I don't think he's got timing on either item, and that's very painful. He needs to get back to basics. Does manage to catch Nyx out. He should win himself that Mega now. Once again, vengeurr's a little bit low on that rocket. Nice double jump. And this is the one thing vengeurr needs to do now, is to use that double jump to maintain control of the bridge, the upper area.
Commotions died down a little bit now. 6 minutes into the game, neither of them looking to attempt to make a mistake. vengeurr, from his POV, you can see that he's just biding his time.
Yeah, I think if he had the Ghost Walk, he would have committed for that. But without it, just, again, not wanting to give away anything free at this point in the game. It's getting quite late.
The occasional slow walking in between to just slow down the pace has worked out very well for him. It's allowed him to set up multiple traps against Tox, and another one that pays off there. A big dink down, Tox will at least replenish it as he does snatch away the heavy, but this could set up vengeurr to start swinging.
I like this from Tox. Now he's using the Anarchy not just for the speed, but more tactfully, which is why he's able to create a few opportunities to catch vengeurr off guard, playing it a bit slower. vengeurr's doing a good job just to do some unreturned damage. Now he's worked his way over to the heavy. And that use, I also really like the use of heavy machine gun. Appreciating it's somewhat difficult to hit the Anarchy, but heavy machine gun is incredibly powerful against any champion, but particularly light champions. It's easy to hit and it does an immense amount of damage. He's caught him here. Does just sneak away.
vengeurr not really hitting with the lightning gun there. It's not going to help him out too much as time is still ticking down as well. It's going to be 8 minutes relatively soon. vengeurr taking the firefight. It's all about the HMG for him, but he's coming off so much worse after the fight. Left with just 63 stack. Tox in a much better position, and he's going straight over for the Mega. They're going to cross paths once again.
Oh, Has he got time to wait it out? If Tox misses one, he might stick, and he doesn't have time. Forced to pick the Ghost Walk, nothing to work with. This is painful for vengeurr. He needs to be very, very careful now. Just play it slow and quiet. Tox, though, can sweep up the map, and then we should expect speed to come out from the Swede.
He's got a 1 frag advantage here, so as long as he doesn't throw this away, he could potentially win this.
He's also done a good job of grinding out the time to make sure the Ghost Walk's back up. Because it's not a fun play style to have to just hide, but that's what you have to do.
vengeurr frustrated that he can't actually make his way in towards the Mega. Both of them are just trading rockets in the doorways. The choke
lovely
point's
out
not being pushed.
through the teleporter rail from Tox. No, you're completely right, and Tox has just slowed down the pace because he is the one in the lead, and there is only a minute left now. So don't expect him to be overcommitting anytime soon.
Potentially could be a bit of an overextension there from Tox. He did eventually push out. He got tagged because of it as well. Now they're both missing their rails. vengeurr's the one that starts to land them. The rockets aren't going to put much pressure on.
vengeurr could have an aggressive Ghost Walk here if he needs to. This is the difference between the heavy machine gun and the rail. This time it's Tox that responds in kind, and that probably is the one in the match.
Yeah, you'd assume so. I mean, he's just absolutely destroyed him. The HMG's ripped him to shreds. And there's 30 seconds left, and vengeurr, he can't even find him right now to take a firefight with him if he wanted one.
Nope. And Tox has the speed to keep away from vengeurr. Don't even think vengeurr has the rail to work with. He does. But he also has a rocket to the face, which is going to end the game. I was really impressed. I was a little bit worried at the start when Tox was just blitzing around the map. It was a bit naive, and it's very easy to fall into that trap as an Anarchy. But he definitely tempered that and played way slower. And his aim was on.
Yeah, that was a lot better.
His aim was on. 6 impressive, 63% rail. That's the Tox we know.
That was a whole lot better. Definitely more like what we expected and wanted to see coming out from them. Kept it a whole lot closer, obviously being able to walk away with a win. Just smarter play from Tox. Aggression when necessary, but not over-aggression. Obviously utilising his defense as well, slowing down the pace of the game towards the end in the final few minutes. Just more well-rounded. Yeah,
like I said, a little bit worried in the first few minutes, but then he definitely shaped his duel and his game a lot better throughout. So that was really impressive.
Yeah, Tox. It's working out. If he can maintain it and keep it going, potentially he could take this as a 2-1 series. For vengeurr, though, it's an unfortunate defeat. Obviously, falling here stops him from getting a crazy amount of points, and it goes down to the wire. A 1-1 series with Tox overthrowing vengeurr.
Yeah, I mean, we both predicted a vengeurr win, and it was a commanding Tox win. Once again, the score was not a huge difference, but the control that Tox displayed, he controlled the pace of that. And against Nyx on Blood Covenant, that's always going to be a tough ask. So he did an exceptional job.
He did indeed. This was nice as well. A little bit of style towards the end there with the momentum as he retreated his way away. But the 6-3 scoreline, a free frag advantage for Tox as he does take the second map, and it's all down to the decider now. This is where we actually see who is going to be the winner.
Awoken, isn't it?
Very well could be. Yeah, it is. Wow. Good job.
Thanks.
It's alright, mate. All up there. All in the noggin. That's where he keeps it. No, Awoken as a third and final map, obviously a good position to be in. Tox, he loves his Awoken games, but the same could be said for vengeurr, and that is what's worrying.
Well, I mean, vengeurr's always been the one that I think has been the stable Awoken player. He's generally picking it, and generally Doom as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't have Doom at his disposal this time. He has the Ranger. But Ranger's very strong on that map. Sorlag versus Ranger, I believe, and it'll be interesting, as you say. Like, we've seen great games come out from both players. No one's overrunning the other, so this is going to be equally as tight.
Yeah, this could really be a mixed bag here. Not too sure what to expect out of this one, because vengeurr, normally a lot more consistent, but for Tox, he can have incredible games on Awoken. Just depends if today is going to be one of those days. We are into it. It's the nails versus the spit currently. As vengeurr, his armor will take a nice coating of Tox's acid. He's now recovered the rail. The tri-bolt is what's giving him such a nice opener into the game. However, the rails from vengeurr, 1, 2, 3, it's as easy as that, and Tox is dead.
He is, and now vengeurr has a great opportunity to put pressure on. Like we said earlier, Sorlak does spawn with a commanding starting stack. That's one of the benefits of playing her. So Tox doesn't have a lot to be worried with. Do feel vengeurr should have probably put more pressure onto protecting the rocket launcher, but clearly doesn't have an idea of when this spawns, so just maintains position over on the Mega for putting some pressure into the heavy area. Can rocket jump up if he needs to, but instead baits Tox out with the orb, decides not to commit. Instead decides to take on this rail duel, which he comes out slightly better of. Oh, Tox is in a bit of trouble here. This time getting away scot-free is vengeurr. It's going to be late for the Mega as well. Completely out of position. And very early for the heavy, so slightly misplaying that last minute is vengeurr. But he's in position. Tox is there as well. Is he going to push in? I imagine he will. And he hits a great opening rail, forcing vengeurr onto the back foot.
Good work of the rockets, though. It's Tox. He came in with an incredible stack, but 3 rockets later, he's nearly dead. So lucky to be alive, and he returns the favor with the rail, taking it 1-1. That is going to be replaying in vengeurr's mind for a while.
Yeah, he outplayed himself. Just got himself out of position for that Mega, got himself out of position for the heavy. And Tox just capitalized upon those mistakes. You cannot be making those, but he's out of rockets. I mean, he is stuck on this low ground with only the hit scan to work with.
2 minutes 30 have passed now. Tox. What more can he get going? The rails from vengeurr have had such stopping power behind them. Another nice clean connection to at least slow down the course of the game for a little while. Good 20-second split on both the major items as well, so Tox can claim the heavy here.
And he is pumped to the max, and vengeurr should not be jumping in right there. Tox was prepared for that, using the orb to bait him out just a little bit, forcing Tox to respond to that orb placement. And he does get a little bit of its escape, but once again, Tox has got control of this mid-area, meaning vengeurr's life is becoming difficult quick.
Four rockets remain for Tox, make that 3. Whoa. Finally detects where vengeurr was as he's over by Mega. Instead it's going to be point blank as these two get back into another fight. Knocks him into the air, just needs the follow-up rail to finish him, and of course he's going to land it.
Lovely little double rail there. The super early flick rail was what got him that frag, forcing vengeurr further up into the air, and vengeurr sticking around. Very ballsy place to be. Oh no, running face first into a lizard. It's dangerous, but somehow vengeurr comes out on top. Does he though? Mutual frag.
Still a 3-2 though. The trade doesn't have as much impact on the game as first 4. Mid-control going to be established by vengeurr. Diving straight in though, really wanting to run the risk here. Consistent shots being landed by Tox, but no kill.
No kill. vengeurr was low, but it was just before the major item spawn, so he does restack. And Tox is recognizing he's still going to be relatively weak and using that amazingly strong starting stack to pressure vengeurr. But he's low himself. vengeurr does able to sneak himself onto the heavy. Good strong rocket, but it's not enough for him to be confident to get into Mega position. But then again, vengeurr doesn't have the weapons to work with. That was a very interesting use of the orb, but doesn't really do any damage. And this time vengeurr's in a little bit of trouble, but they both get away and reset.
5-minute warning.
5 minutes have passed.
Is that it?
I know, considering the amount of bloodshed that's gone down. Tox. Really smooth aim there. All the bullets connecting. leaving little punctures, small wounds all over vengeurr. Lobby was going to get off on him as well, so that's a 10 damage tick, but you've peeked into it with no HP, and you've been punished. It's not the best idea to work with. Oh, the follow-up from vengeurr comes in seconds later. Dire Orb entry with a shotgun smackdown.
Yeah, he did the drama special. Saw a few of those earlier today. Seen a lot of use of heavy machine gun between these two, and it's been amazingly effective as well.
Yeah, a lot more utilization of the starting weapons coming out.
Yeah, well, we're seeing this new meta of Dire Orb's close gap into super shotgun finisher.
I'm glad. I'm a big fan of the super shotgun, so I like to see it getting more love. Ooh, vengeurr. He's low on stack. It was a risky fight to work with, so the scoreline is now tied up as Tox will be able to tackle him.
Yeah, vengeurr double guessed himself there, thinking Tox would have followed through the teleporter. Instead, they met in the hallway.
Low stack for Tox. Nearly 7 minutes, 5-5 apiece. He doesn't really have a lot of lightning gun to work with. Uses his spit to try and deny control of the heavy. He wants that for himself, and the railgun will be able to secure it for him. Absolutely. 6-5. Things are looking good for Tox.
Another year. We've seen some impressive Dire Orbs today.
Seven minutes 20. 46 bullets left. Well, bullets, watts for the lightning gun.
He is low on lightning.
Yeah.
Can't really stick around because of that fact, even though he has got Tox low, he hasn't got the weaponry to fight from that angle, but he has from that angle.
That was so cheeky as well.
Nice rail from vengeurr. He knows Tox wants that rail as well. Nothing real Tox can do from range. So he's going to close the range. As we finally have now more than the one frag advantage for one of these players, and it is vengeurr in the lead, but he's relatively weak, so imagine Tox will be trying to put some pressure on. Although he's not on the Mega, which is unusual.
Tox is getting hit by the rockets.
That was
The
super
peak as well on the rail. That could have been the frag there. It would have been a 1-kill difference. Instead, there's still 2. That's going to maintain being the disparity between them both.
And vengeurr's in trouble. This is Tox's opportunity. He could definitely rack up 1 or 2 frags here if he gets the kill. vengeurr, there's still 4 seconds to go. He can't risk sticking around that Mega. Just needs to run. No Dire Orb as well. He needs to. He gets spotted. And now vengeurr's in a lot of trouble because Tox is stacked. Tox knows the timings, and he's found him.
Oh, he bumped into the pillar though. I don't think it's going to matter. He'll still get the kill. It's 8-8. It's tied. 60 seconds for one of them to get a big enough advantage to hold on to actually take this and win it. Or we're going to be going to sudden death.
Oh, he's let vengeurr get away with the Mega. He's going to try and push in. Is he going to take the risk? I think he is. And he's found vengeurr down below. vengeurr doesn't really have a lot to work with, but that rail's key.
The vengeurr. A much bigger stack.
They're both. Tox needs to get out. vengeurr's a lot healthier than I think Tox realizes he is.
Ooh, he's getting so lucky as well. These rails aren't connecting, or he would be sleeping with the fishes right now. He's barely clutching on to these final few breaths that he's going to be taking. Tox, he's not getting the shots off. 7 HP, survives to push it into sudden death.
Yes, and sudden death is still going to be hard for Tox, as he just needs to get some sort of stack. He can't keep running around on a railable level as vengeurr stacks up even stronger. With the heavy to work with, he's still got the Mega. Then I think he's going to be the tarts for vengeurr to try and push in once he picks up his major items. He doesn't mind sinking that rail, that rocket as well. Tox is feeling a bit more comfortable now, but doesn't have timing or position on the heavy.
40 seconds into sudden death here. Tox looking for the opportunity.
Yeah, vengeurr once again sweeps up both items. Tox is on that mid-ground. I don't think vengeurr knows he's there. He might be able to get a rail. Misses it though, giving his position away.
He's revealed where he is. Shown his hand.
Tox doesn't have enough lightning gun ammo to real contest on the mid-ground. He's running out of rails, although he does have enough. Doesn't want to take the heavy, the light, 'cause he doesn't want to give away position. He'll probably take it once he vengeurr knows where he is as well.
Heavy's good.
There we go.
Heavy's
Oh, and is he going to push in? No, vengeurr playing safe.
So many slight misses that could have changed the course of the game. Instead, Tox incredibly low. This could be the fight.
movement!
The bunny hopping backwards as he keeps on going.
Tox is playing with fire.
That's so ridiculous that he's been able to pull off that movement in a time of need like that, but he's left himself relatively hung out to dry.
He's been caught.
He
Can he hit another rail?
Power? Oh, if he landed the rail, that would have been it. He would have won it. Instead, misses the rail, goes down. vengeurr takes it, a 2-1 scoreline.
Holy crap, that was close.
That's ridiculous. All it came down to was that one rail that needed to land, and he missed it.
I mean, he hit so many more before that, but that was the
clutch.
That was the clutch where he hit the amazing entry rail and just couldn't finish it up. Oh, kudos to both players. I mean, that was... it feels weird saying this, but because Tox came in as the underdog, so we have to say he performed so well. Yeah. It's definitely, we were talking about which Tox is going to turn up. It was a good Tox, but I think, again, the most impressive thing for me and the thing I'm most happy about, it wasn't just flashy Tox steamrolling. This was kind of old school Tox, playing that, as we said before. It wasn't super passive, it wasn't super aggressive. It was a great balance all round. And there's definitely room for improvement. There was, particularly map 1, there was so many times where he just didn't have the right timings and was just a little bit off. If he can just round that in his game again and get back to being super crisp, he's going to be, again, one of the players everyone has to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's still looking damn good when it comes to a lot of his play. Just slight intricacies that need to be attempted to change slightly, and then he'll be able to absolutely wipe the floor with a lot of players, I'd feel.
Well, this is a map that vengeurr normally just dominates people on. And Tox probably should have won it.
Oh, yeah. In the last few seconds of the game, it definitely seemed like it was going to go his way. He did an awful lot. Tox, it's so unfortunate that one rail is all that was required, and it didn't happen.
So close. Yeah, but all credit to vengeurr as well. Played very well. There was a long period of that game where Tox had a good stranglehold in that map, and vengeurr did a great job to still stay in the game. It's always tough under the cosh when Tox is the one pressuring you and hitting as much as Tox hit. So once again, credit to vengeurr as well.
Oh yeah, vengeurr played fantastically and does win the series, so it's going to be good for him in terms of the global leaderboard, of course, start to raise his rank slightly. Everything's coming up. vengeurr, unfortunate for Tox, definitely a fantastic showing. Again, another game that on paper, obviously if you look at the scoreline, you'd work it out and be like, all right, it was a 2-1 to vengeurr. You'd think it was quite one-sided, when in reality it wasn't. Very close.
The biggest win went to Tox, when he smashed vengeurr and Blood Covenant. The other two maps were very, very even.
Yeah. They were quite close the whole way through.
Yeah.
We do have more games to go tonight as well, though, so let's move on and see what is going to be coming up next. Of course, Dahang versus Dewey. They both start with a D, but they're very different players when it comes down to their playstyle and approach, of course. Dewey, we're looking for that slow moving. It's like a base, but more Western.
Yeah.
Like a cowboy base.
Cowboy base. We've seen some interesting plays from Dewey, and he's got Athena.
Yeah.
He's picked Athena, so I'm interested to see what he does. I think we all know what we get from Dahang, probably the best timer in the world. Like, it's a very core, basic, fundamental strategy from Dahang, but the way he uses that information is very unique and makes him who he is, whereas Dewey is just Dewey.
He's Dewey.
He's just Dewey.
He is, and he tries to just Dewey it. And for a lot of the time, it tends to pay off.
Can we just cut to a break on that note, because that's so bad.
That's what I'm about, mate.
It's
pretty good.
I don't think so.
Pretty good.
I disagree.
More Quake to come, of course. We'll be delving back in with Dahang taking on Dewey when we return from the break.